Good morning, dear students, dear colleagues, dear parents and relatives, dear spokeswomen of the Student Union, dear representative of the Hanseatic city of Lüneburg, and dear friends of Leuphana. As you know, diversity is the topic of our opening week, which starts today. For the following days, for your Leuphana semester and for all your studies at Leuphana College, I like to ask you for something. Don't just look at diversity as a given interesting phenomenon. Let it touch you in its very sense. Be affected by diversity in a positive way. Let it come to your heart and your core beliefs. What do I mean by this? Nowadays, you often hear about tolerance. Tolerance is expected from you with respect to other religions or cultural habits or sexual orientations. However, to tolerate something could just mean that it does not affect you. You may say, "This doesn't bother me, so I don't care about it. It's none of my business." If you just tolerate diversity, you are far away from what I have in mind, and I will tell you why. What is the opposite of diversity? In biology and agriculture is monoculture. As all of you know, monoculture is bad for the soil and for growth. The plant's resistance against diseases and vermin diminishes. In contrast, biodiversity is a symbiotic balance that keeps soil and plants healthy. So diversity is good. But I go a step further and speak about homodiversity instead of biodiversity. What is specific about homodiversity? In one word, it's curiosity. When human beings are faced with the human diversity, they can learn from the differences. In biodiversity, plants and microorganisms profit from what other plants and microorganisms do. Homodiversity can go further. Curiosity enables us to analyze, to reflect, and to transform beliefs and practices of human beings from other cultures or other social environments. Differences can be huge. In Western academic contexts, you can always ask for an argument if you disagree. But you should also be curious about cultures where the practice of giving account is of little importance. Granted, in contrast to plants, we can close our borders and try to stay on our own culture. However, global challenges will not stop at any border. They are that much pressing and complex that we need good ideas and every approach to find feasible solutions. A diversity of ideas, habits, and beliefs will be then very helpful. Hence, homodiversity promises to help us finding solutions for the global challenges of the 21st century. Learning through diversity is not a fresh idea. It's not something of 2015. It has a long tradition in the history of university. And this is why I ask you to be affected by diversity, to be ready to learn through diversity. You come here to continue the great and unique history of university. I will give you some examples of the tradition you are entering today. In the 13th century, at the then recently founded Université de Paris, scholars studied texts from everywhere to deepen their understanding of human culture. In his famous works, Thomas Aquinas implemented ideas of the Muslim scholar Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd, and ideas of the Rabbi Moses Maimonides. Origin and religion were not an issue for Aquinas, as long as he could learn something from the others. Another second example. At the same time, the physicians at the Università di Salerno studied all medical texts of the Arab-writing Persian Ibn Sina. They know that his knowledge of anatomy and medicine surpasses all Western knowledge at the time. What do we learn from these two examples? I dare to say that the impressive success of Western universities in history can be only explained by the scholar's readiness to learn from everyone and everything, and all ideas that are different but fascinating. Such curiosity has been always in danger, not only today. During the Fourth Crusade in 1204, Constantinople was sieged, beaten, and plundered. Scientific books in Arab, Syrian, Greek, and Hebrew were burned. Oriental and Byzantine works of art destroyed. At the same time, when scholars in Salerno, Naples, Cordoba, and Paris grabbed every snippet word of Arab and Jewish wisdom, the Crusaders eliminated cultural goods of immeasurable worth. History is repeating today. Today, scholars all over the world try to decrypt old cultures. At the same time, ISIS has destroyed more than 100 cultural treasures, temples, libraries, graves, and most fatal, the Assyrian city Nimrod. This is why I really ask you to continue the tradition of university and not any other tradition. It is in your responsibility. You are responsible for continuing homodiversity. That means learning through diversity by curiosity. Be affected from diversity as scholars have ever been. Be ready to learn from different cultures. Your study at the Leuphana College will improve this readiness step by step. In the Leuphana semester, you will not only learn how science and research works, you will learn that there are more different approaches in many different disciplines, but they are all unified by the pursuit of truth. Scholars share a general concession which the philosopher of science, Sir Karl Raimund Popper, has formulated this: I may be wrong and you may be right. In the complementary studies, you will learn how to take different perspectives and to walk different roads towards truth and success. You will meet the fascination of intellectual diversity. But you will only do so if you are affected by the different approaches and methods. An easy but effective step to profit from this diversity is learning other languages. It will enrich your understanding and widen your perspective. So I can really encourage you to deepen your first and second language besides English and to learn another one. You will meet many sorts of diversity in your studies at the Leuphana College. Cultural ones, methodological ones, and intellectual ones. In any case, tolerance of otherness is not what I ask you for, nor do I ask you to add a like or a dislike to the content of your studies. I ask you for curiosity. Be intellectually curious about everything and everyone, as scholars and students have it been before during the centuries. You will see then, I promise, the enrichment and strength diversity is giving to you. Finally, look around you. You see the diversity of 1,500 students. Mentally, you differ much from each other, but you are all entering the tradition of curiosity. Scholars have found it in the past. Look left, look right. Your neighbors are not competitors. As you do, they are seeking for knowledge. You all do so with different presuppositions, interests, and purposes. These differences enable you to learn from each other and to teach each other. And this is why you are beginning your studies together in the Leuphana semester and not separate in your fields, to inspire each other. I wish you all the best for your studies. A very warm welcome.